Hey, LinkedIn, and welcome back to Business Unusual. This is a live show where we're talking as a community about how the coronavirus is impacting the ways that we all work. I'm Caroline Fairchild, editor-at-large here at LinkedIn, and your host for today's show. We are about 50 episodes into this program, which we started as a response to the massive impact that we saw the coronavirus having on the ways that we work and the ways that we live. On this show, we've talked to healthcare workers, frontline workers, those who have been laid off amid this crisis, as well as business leaders who are trying to navigate their company, as well as this crisis at the same time. Just yesterday, Johns Hopkins University announced that over 100,000 people in the United States have lost their lives to COVID-19. It's a massive number, unimaginable even a few months ago, and our hearts go out to their families, to those recovering from the disease, and the professionals who are fighting every day to help us overcome it. In a crisis, inequalities are often exacerbated, and unfortunately for this pandemic, it's no different. When we look at the number of non-white Americans who are losing their lives to this crisis, it's higher, as well as non-white Americans are more likely to have their jobs lost. And when we take a look at the number of minority-owned businesses who have closed down amid this crisis, they have suffered disproportionately as well. A new report out by McKinsey shows that Hispanic and Black businesses are more likely to be in distress during this time. Policies like the CARES Act were put into place to support small business owners during this time, but a recent survey found that less than half of Latino-owned businesses were able to secure funding during the first round of the stimulus. That's why private companies, and in the case of today's news, even celebrities, are stepping up to help fill the void. Hello Alice, which is a platform for entrepreneurs who are trying to navigate this crisis, is giving up grants to $10,000 to Latino-owned businesses to support them in this time of need. And a man who goes by many names, Mr. Worldwide, Mr. 305, to name a couple, is lending his voice to support the cause. That's right, music powerhouse Armando Christian Perez, you likely know him as Pitbull, will join us on today's show to discuss this new program, as well as how he's navigating his own career during this pandemic. But before I bring on Armando, I want to hear from you. The whole point of this show is to have a conversation as a community about how the coronavirus is impacting our lives. If you're in the stream right now and you're a business owner and have questions for Armando, please let us know. We want to get those answered. As well, if you're just struggling with this crisis, please share your insights and we'll have a conversation together about that on today's show. And with that, I want to bring on Armando Christian Perez Pitbull, who's joining us right now. Hi, Armando. Thank you so much.
How you doing?
I heard that noise was trademarked recently. Is that correct?
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that business venture, and thank you again for joining us on Business Unusual. Let's start with you in this partnership with Hello Alice. As a Cuban American, why was it important for you to step up and support Latino-owned businesses during this time?
Well, as a first-generation Cuban American and everything that my family went through, I would say fleeing Cuba and communism, I'm somebody that respects, loves, and adores freedom, liberty, and everything that this country stands for. So being that I grew up in very interesting times, which was basically a pandemic every day for us here in Miami in the 80s, and when I speak about that pandemic / epidemic, it was the cocaine / crack / heroin / AIDS era. And I understand what it is when you're in the struggle, and I understand the sacrifice, especially for those that have worked their whole life just to have one little business in the neighborhood and have something like this wipe them out. And then when you have a stimulus plan that on phase one really didn't, I would say, benefit those that need it the most, hopefully in phase two they do. I had a good friend, which is Jeff Hoffman, who reached out and he said, hey, we need to do something for the community. And this is for all small business owners. I'm just the one creating the awareness for the Latin community and Latin culture. But when you have those that are the #1 small business owners in the United States of America that are wiped out within 2 to 3 months, that is detrimental to the economy. So we're doing our best to be able to help those that need it the most. I wish we could help everybody, but unfortunately we can't. But it's just coming from somebody that I know that they relate to. They know I understand the struggle. They know I understand the sacrifice. And more than anything, just to let them know there's somebody here that really cares. And like we say in one of my old neighborhoods, Wynwood, they say, don't talk about it, be about it.
You are being about it, and you're on the front lines right now. I'm interested in terms of what you're hearing from Latino-owned businesses in terms of their specific struggles right now. We saw some stats earlier on in the show about how they're being impacted. What are you hearing from them in terms of their inability to get access to the stimulus and what this program is providing?
I mean, what I've heard, first of all, is the community is resilient. Okay, they're survivors. There's a lot of optimism. That they have sayings like in Spanish, but they say God closes the door to open a window, and they just keep saying things happen for a reason. They're trying to find solutions, but a lot of them are misinformed. There's a lot of programming going on, but not a lot of information being given. A lot of them are scared to sign up also due to their, I would say, citizenship here or the citizen status here in the United States of America. But a lot of them see it as, believe it or not, as crazy as this may sound, an opportunity moving forward. Why? Because of everything that they went through in the countries that they came from, whether it's Mexico, all of Central America, meaning Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, down onto Panama, whether it's what's going on in Venezuela as we speak, Cuba, still dealing with communism as we speak. They look at this and they say, man, this is a blessing compared to what I was going through in my country. Mm-hmm. So that's how they're finding solutions, and that's the way they look at it. It's a very resilient culture due to what they're going through and what they've been through in their countries.
I think that's a great perspective. And, I wanted to ask you, a lot of brands want to partner with you. A lot of partnerships like this, I'm sure, come to your door. How do you choose who to work with in terms of this partnership with Hello Alice and Jeff Hoffman? Why was this the one that you wanted to work with?
Well, you know why I do it? Because Jeff Hoffman is a stand-up person, and he does it from the heart. He doesn't do it for propaganda. He doesn't do it just to get his name out there. And that's the same way we do. There's a lot of things that we do for the community, for education, for any natural disaster that happens, whether in the Caribbean, whether it happens in Texas, Mexico, or in the Florida Keys. We're always there helping one way or another. But you don't see us constantly in the media telling everybody what we're doing. We do this for the right reasons. And I tell everybody out there too, look, if you're living your life at a certain level and you've worked hard to become whatever you're doing at this point, okay, it's an obligation to help those that need it the most. Bottom line. And we're just here leading by example. And the reason that we got with Jeff Hoffman and whatever way he navigates us through the people that he deals with, partnerships such as Hello Alice and Jen also. And I trust him because he does it from the heart, Mm-hmm. And to me, finding stand-up people in today's society is a very hard thing to do. But let me tell you what's going on right now. Ironically, everybody through technology was so disconnected. They were so connected that they were disconnected. And now they're utilizing technology that they're so disconnected that they're actually connected again. The irony behind that is funny, but that's exactly what's happening. And humans are showing up for humanity all over again. So sometimes these kind of things, when they happen, brings everybody together. And the only way, and I've told people this before, I said, it's a virus. It ends with us, with a US, right? Virus ends with us, but it will not end us as long as we fight this together and just know that it's all about us. And so that's the way I look at this situation. And anybody that I speak to, I try to just tell them all the time, there's no losing, only learning, no failure, only opportunities, and no problems, just solutions.
We're definitely having an impact. I'm seeing some members in the stream right now chime in. Douglas says, thank you, Pitbull and Jeff. We found out about your program yesterday, and we're grateful for people like you who care about small businesses and startups surviving this challenging time.
To me. Our pleasure. Thank God we could do it.
And I wanted to let you know, Mr. Worldwide, we have people from all over the world joining the stream. Patricia from Argentina, William from Brazil, Sean from New Orleans, Jessica from Las Vegas. Thank you so much for joining us. And Shweta says, please, can we hear Pitbull sing? We love you. So Armando, thank you for joining us on today's show. Speaking of singing, you released a new single recently, I Believe That We Will Win, which I was listening to from a majority of this morning getting ready for this interview, about overcoming this challenge. Take me back to the start of this crisis when you realized that this was going to have a big impact on your music making and on your career.
Well, look, I'm somebody that I take the time. Well, first of all, I want to say a big shout out to the Sin City, Las Vegas, Brazil, Obrigado, everybody in Mexico. Muchas gracias siempre por todo el apoyo. And to everybody out there that's showing love, believe me, I love y'all back more than you know, and I appreciate y'all more than you know. As far as at the beginning of this pandemic and what was going on, clearly I had my eyes on it. I would have never, in any way, shape, or form, I knew after the financial crisis in 2008, we were heading for another crisis. If you look at history, what does history do? History repeats itself. What do we do with history? We never learn from history. That's just the way it works, right? It's a trait that humans have. Hopefully we learn a lot from this one because it's not the first and it's not the last. So the way I looked at the virus, I just never thought it would be a virus. Why? Well, we've had the Hong Kong flu in the late 60s. Woodstock still went on after that. We had SARS, MERS, swine, bird, Ebola, Zika, and nothing has shut down, not the country, but the world this way. And I think that the common denominator and what I've been looking at is the access to people. I mean, between Facebook and WhatsApp alone, you have 3.6 billion people they can tap into, which is half of the globe at this point. And pretty much what's shut down right now is half of the globe. So I was looking at this and I said, all right, this is happening. There's no way to fight it at this point. Let's educate ourselves on what's going on, inform ourselves of what's going on in order to create solutions. And what better way to get a message across than through a record? And God is so big that someone that I love so much is a producer named Chris Daniel and a producer named Vinny Benedito that did the record, I Believe That We Will Win. But Chris Daniel was the one that showed me the chant of the people at the basketball game, like losing their mind, motivated, strong, ready to compete, ready to fight. And I said, this is what the world needs right now. The world needs something that reminds them how resilient, how tough, how strong we are as humans and as humanity, especially when we come together. And that's why I started the record with, you know what spreads faster than a virus? Fear. So are we going to forget everything and run? No. We're not going to do that. We're going to face everything and rise. And with I Believe That We Will Win, that's what the message was about. And clearly everything any money that record makes is going to different foundations that we're dealing with right now, finding ways to just help. So bottom line, that was just to motivate the planet and to let them know, hey, we got this one way or another. We've been through a lot throughout history and we've always found a way to win and come on top. But I hope from this, more than anything, we learn from it.
And you hear the resilience in that track, and I hear it in your voice right now. And you spoke about this global recession that we're facing right now, and you've always taking your career with the mentality of a CEO. For the business owners who are joining us right now, we're having to shift their strategy right now amid this pandemic. What's worked for you in terms of overall lessons for how you've pivoted and navigated your career and what you're doing right now amid this crisis?
Well, I've never been afraid of a challenge. I've never had a problem reinventing myself, never had a problem pivoting. And I've always looked at it as a blessing. The reason that my mentality is the way it is when it comes to business and it comes to life is the way that I grew up. You know, my mother is someone, and she's my superhero. She taught me, obviously she gave me love. She taught me how to believe in myself, but she taught me how to survive. And in survival, you always have to have that plan Z, not a plan B, that plan Z. So since the financial crisis, and like I said, the way that I grew up was always, and when I say it was a pandemic, because we didn't know if the lights were going to be on when we got home, if we were going to have water, if we were going to have food, if we were going to have clothes on our back, if we were going to have a roof over our head. It was constantly living with this sense of hopelessness. And I didn't like that growing up. So when I was about 5, 6 years old, I didn't look at cars and I said, oh, I want that car. I didn't look at money and like, oh, I want to have a gang of money. No, what I always thought about was stability, security, protection. That's what my mind state was in by the time I was 5, 6 years old, growing up the way we were growing up here in Miami in the 80s. So for everybody out there that has a business, create your stability, create your security, create your protection. Learn from this one because it's going to happen again. Don't think that this won't happen again. I can bet that this is going to happen again. So are you going to look at when it happens again and go, okay, I already have this in the bank to the side. I know I can survive off this. Now this is going to give me the chance to be creative and see how we're going to pivot. Where's the next opportunity? And I always told people that, or I tell people that an oppressed mind is a creative mind. It's crazy the things that your mind comes up with when you're up against the wall and you go, oh man, wait a second. How are we going to figure this out? It's crazy the kind of solutions that come out of that. Just don't scare yourself out of solutions. Don't let fear be the driving factor here. Educate yourself with everything that's going on. Research what's going on, how it's moving, where it's moving, and take that creativity and apply it to your business.
And since 2009, you've been very public with the goals for your business and your career. You've publicly stated what your goal is, whether it's build empire or make history. I'm curious, what was your goal at the beginning of 2020? And did you have to change it amid this pandemic? Oh
no, it's crazy. Ready for me?
I'm ready.
09 was freedom, 10 invasion, 11 build empire, 12 grow wealth, 13 put the puzzle together, 14 buckle up, 15 make history, 16 disruption, 17 gingerbread man plan, catch me if you can, 18 off the grid, 19 generational wealth, /volcanic. 2020, ready for this one? Clear vision. Clear vision. And what do I mean by, and I flipped it to clear vision and clear vision, which is vision and wisdom. Put them together. That's how you got to look at this. 2020 is clarity for the world right now. This is how you need to really open your eyes and examine the way the world's moving and the way that they can shut down at any given point. So you got to be ready for this. You can't think that this was a fluke. You can't think that, like I go back to, that this won't happen again. It will. So learn from it and apply it in the future. And hopefully it's not the near future, but be ready for it, bottom line.
Clear vision. I can't believe that goal held up, but knowing you, it makes sense that it did. I want to bring in a few more people from the stream right now who are joining us. Yvonne says, love seeing this. Thanks for helping our Hispanic-owned businesses. Rebecca says, as a teacher, thank you for stressing history and how we need to learn from it. And Nina says, Armando Christian Perez, you are our hero here in South Florida. You've always loved and respected your community. We're so proud of you. Thank you for everything you've done. Eres lo mejor people, is what she says.
The mejor people, that means good people. I want to say muchas gracias, de verdad. And I'm going to speak a little bit of Spanish real quick for those that are on. And I just want to tell them, mira, para todos los latinos allá afuera, yo siempre le digo a todo el mundo, para adelante, para arriba, no mires para atrás ni para impulso. Nosotros, la cultura de nosotros es una cultura que sabe lo que es luchar, lo que sabe, entiende el sacrificio y más que nada sabe lo que es sobrevivir. So, en estos tiempos, aplica lo que estás aprendiendo para que en el futuro no estés en esta situación. Pero para todos los latinos afuera, lo quiero mucho y gracias por el apoyo siempre, porque sin ustedes no hay ningún Pitbull, ningún Armando Christian Pérez, ningún nada, ¿ok? So, como te digo, para adelante, para arriba, porque no hay más nada. And now I'm switching back to English.
Gracias por todo.
No, de nada.
So, thank you for that and for that message for the community. I'm seeing so many people in the stream who are so thankful for your time. And I'm also seeing some questions in the stream about what this means for the future of music. It's going to be quite some time, unfortunately, before we are all in a concert hall hearing your music again. Have you given any thoughts how this is going to impact the music industry long term?
Look, this is basically Darwin's theory, survival of the fittest, okay? You're going to see who are the real artists, meaning doing this because they love music and because they love to help people. And then you're going to see those that took their money and blew it on materialistic things at the end of the day and didn't understand what it was to invest money or didn't think of the future. And I say, there's a saying in Spanish, es pasos corto, vista larga, which is short steps, long vision. And it's something that I always apply. As far as ourselves, we've already pivoted to figure out ways to monetize from a streaming standpoint. Concerts in one of the schools that we have here in Little Havana, which I'm actually speaking to you from right now, Slam in Little Havana, one of my old neighborhoods that I grew up in Miami. And I'm going to be the first to experiment this platform. We're putting it together as we speak. We don't know what we're doing. We're going at this. We're building the plane while we're flying it, but this is nothing new to us when I go back to what it is to reinvent and challenge yourself. Now, once we, because I don't do this by myself, prove the business model, then I will speak to other artists and I say, hey, look, this is a way to generate or continue to generate. But from this, we're going to be giving X amount of percentage to be able to help the community and help those that need it the most. I go back to that all the time because I completely understand, or like Rastas like to say, me no understand, me overstand what it feels like to have that sense of hopelessness, you know? So hopefully through music, when we get back up and running and putting these concerts together, we're able to motivate and inspire those out there, because I know you guys need it more than ever. But us ourselves also are finding ways to reinvent ourselves. Now, believe it or not, this is going to be a blessing in disguise to the music industry within the next 5 to 10 years, because now it's going to switch all to streaming. So for artists that are constantly feeding the beast, at least from that standpoint, that will generate. Now, the ones that were living off of shows, those are the ones that really got to, I would say, wake up and move quick.
Well, it sounds like you have the business solutions top of mind, but I want to speak to the inspiration that you want to give to your fans right now. How are you staying creative? We're hearing from so many professionals on LinkedIn who are just having a hard time amid a global pandemic, rightfully so, being creative in their jobs. Where do you find sources of creativity, and are you struggling too?
You know, the crazy thing is that I always tell people this: I'm not a rapper, I'm a reporter. All I do is paint you pictures of everything that I've lived in life. So when you're in a situation, making music, that microphone, when you're rapping into it, it's like therapy. So I grab these moments and I literally take a negative and turn it into a positive. But I don't let the moment or the situation weigh me down. That I don't do. That's why I go back to being informed, being aware, being educated. The more you see different numbers, like example, if we want to give people hope, if we want to motivate them, if we want to inspire them throughout these times, and we know that this has to do bottom line with your immune system. If you're stressed out and you're scared and you're fearful, that's a low immune system. Now, if you're informed, aware, educated on what's going on, and you have that hope and that motivation, that inspiration, you keep that immune system up because you got the strength. Because it starts here, mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter. Where do I go to programming instead of information? Well, I got the numbers of infected, which if you ask me, is way higher than what we're talking about, and which we're going to run into as we test more. But the higher that is, the lower the death rate, okay? The death rate where it's at. Now the percentage is different, and may God bless the dead and everybody out there and what they're going through with their families or friends. And to the first responders and those on the front line, I want to tell you guys, thank you so much. We appreciate y'all more than you know, and may God bless you. But why are we talking about the recovered numbers? That gives people hope. That gives people that, oh, okay, the recovered numbers have to be over 2 million at this point, to be honest with you. And you can look at different websites. If you run in, you could put in coronavirus death toll worldwide, and it takes you to a certain web page, which I think is worldmeter.com, if I'm not mistaken. And you can click worldwide, Bagada, or United States, and it gives you infected, death, and recovered. The recovered number is way higher than the death rate at this point. Now, if people knew that, if that was flashing on the news all the time, people would look at this from a different perspective, meaning they would respect what it is to be healthy, respect what it is to be safe. But man, at least they have some sense of clarity and hope. And right. That motivates you, you know?
Yeah, looking at the positive, as you say in your music, and you're telling the story right now. And Armando, the stream is popping. There are tons of questions. I want to make sure that we get to some of the questions that our members have for you right now. I'm going to start with one from Andrew, who says, how do you walk the line between being an artist and a business person?
Well, look, a good friend of mine, Uncle Luke, which is Luther Campbell, from Two Live Crew, the King of Miami. He told me when I was about 17 years old, when I did my first record deal with him, he said, the music business is real simple. It's 90% business, 10% talent. So since that day, I've always looked at the music business from that perspective. Being an artist, look, and it's funny, the irony behind this, half of the people, this is the music business. Half of the people don't know music, half of the people don't know business. Have no business in music, what is this? So to be an artist and a businessman at the same time, for me, it's natural because I grew up hustling, right? I've always found ways to flip things or grab something that nobody was looking at and make money off of it one way or another. The artist part is, I go back to the therapy. It's me just giving you my life and the way I look at things from my perspective. So my creativity comes from waking up every day and looking at something and going, oh man, I need to put this in a record. I need to get this message out. So that's the way I would say walk that fine line. To me, it's not a fine line. It's not blurry at all. I know exactly, I envision the goals and I know exactly, and I'm focused on what it's going to be.
I think your career embodies that as well, being able to do both worlds at the same time, Mr. Worldwide. Okay, Jonah wants to know, what advice do you have for young people that are just getting started? I'm thinking about the 2020 grads who are entering the labor market right now in this global recession. It was supposed to be the best. It's now going to be one of the worst. What do you say to them?
2020, clear vision, okay? I've been telling the graduating class this, I get it, you're down, you're not gonna walk from, I never graduated high school. I wasn't allowed to go to those, I've never been a troublemaker, just always been around some trouble. And I've been telling the graduating class, I know you're down, you're not gonna walk to get your diploma with you and your friends, no prom, no grad bash, no grad night, but I'm gonna flip it on you. How am I gonna flip it on you? You're the most historical class in history at this point. You guys are the generation that's gonna stand up, make a difference, and the leaders of the new world. And I was talking to the graduating class of all our schools down here in Miami and throughout the United States is, if it's a virus that stopped us, how did it stop the world? How did it shut it down? Because a virus spreads, correct? All right, cool, so let's spread. Let's spread love, let's spread motivation, let's spread inspiration, let's spread humanity. Let's spread that coming out of this, what you're gonna learn from it. Don't act like it knocked you down. No, you took a hit, boom, it's how you get back up, right? And if this graduating class, Gen Z, millennials, forget about that at this point. You guys are generation make a difference. Generation leaders of the new world, generation stand up. And if you look at it that way, then you're gonna find immense opportunity coming out of this. Immense, okay, one way or another. So to the graduating class, for you guys, you may be down, but bottom line, I'm gonna give it to you like this, you're special, okay? Look at it that way, you're special. When you run into somebody across the world 20 years from now, you tell them, when did you graduate? And they graduated in China, and you graduated in the United States of America. And you go, no, graduation class of 2020. You're gonna go, oh, man, me too. Oh, come on, man, this drink's on me, or dinner's on me. Tell me how you did this, or how you did that. How did your, how was your community going through things, or your country? That's what's gonna make it special. So
I think that's such an important point. This is a global pandemic that we're all going through, and hopefully the community that comes out of that will benefit us all. I see so many more comments in the stream from Daisy, Jacqueline, Alex, Paul, Deanna. Thank you so much for joining us. We have to let Mr. Worldwide go, but before we do, I have one more question for Pitbull. You chose your very name Pitbull because of the underdog nature that Pitbulls have in the dog world. Everyone feels like an underdog right now. What is your message to those in the stream right now who are struggling and trying to find a way out?
Yes, look, I go back to no losing, only learning, no failure, only opportunities, and no problems, just solutions, okay? Don't let fear scare you out of solutions. Don't let that do that to you. No, all right? Bottom line, open your eyes, clear vision, clarity, 2020. It's historical times, but we are resilient, all right? And like I say in the record, it's not how you fall, it's how you get back up. And we're gonna face everything and rise, okay? Virus ends with us, but it will not end us. But to everybody out there, bottom line, learn from this, be aware, be educated, because it's gonna happen again one way or another. Question is, will you be ready for it?
Well, Armando, I speak for myself, and I know I speak for the stream when I say I feel much better coming out of today's show. Thank you for your leadership during this time, and thank you for your insights, and thank you for joining us on Business Unusual.
Truly my pleasure, and everybody out there just want to say, it's that little Chico Pitbull, Mr. 305, but it said Mr. Worldwide, checking in, checking out. God bless, stay blessed, and thank you guys.
Thank you, Armando. That was Armando Christian Perez. You may know him as Pitbull, walking us through how he's supporting small business owners during this time and giving us a pep talk, not just in English, but in Spanish for how we can navigate this crisis. I want to thank him for joining us on today's show. This is Business Unusual, a daily show where we're talking with you about how the coronavirus is impacting the ways that we all work. Tomorrow, my colleague Susie Jackson will be here at noon Eastern from the LinkedIn news page to talk about the future of sports. Sport leaders are planning reopenings right now. What does this mean for the industry? What does it mean for the players and for the fans who are, in some cases, desperate to get sports back on the TV? You're not going to want to miss that show. Please join us tomorrow then. I'm Caroline Fairchild. Thank you so much for joining us.